Hey guys, I'm MG, and today I'll be looking at Blue Beetle, which is a 2023 American superhero film that is based on the character of Blue Beetle himself, who is played by Xolo Mariduena. That is about Jamie being chosen by an ancient relic called the Scarab. It was also directed by Angel Manuel Soto and written by Damian Alcazer. However, why don't we stop flying and start reviewing right now? For a film that has pretty good reception, I have to say that this movie definitely deserves it, since I enjoyed it for what it was. Now, it does have some problems, with the biggest one being that this movie follows a lot of cliché elements of typical superhero films. There were a few stuff that felt unoriginal, and even though it was executed really nicely, I would have preferred it if it was trying to be more of its own thing. Like, Jamie gets powers. He hates, then loves them. There's a female crush. The main guy spares the bad guy. And it doesn't make the movie all that unique, outside of the great setting of Palmyra City. And it's wonderful that we get to see a lot of it. But then later, the set turns into superhero-esque locations, and it's not very creative. The pacing is also a little wonky. I think the aftermath of a father's death was a little rushed. Like, I get they need to save Jamie, but come on, show the grief more. Especially since the climax was a bit too long in my opinion. Why do we need to spend 40 minutes in this space? It did not need to be that drawn out. Plus, while most of the characters are really strong, Jenny was just kind of okay. She has some cool moments, her chemistry with Jamie was solid, yet predictable, and when I think about her only, that just shows how I'm not that endeared by her character. The visual effects for the fires was also very bad. It's shocking, since the other visuals looked pretty decent. But man, these ones look garbage. The humor was a bit hit and miss as well, with a lot of enjoyable moments from a family, but some of the comedy didn't exactly land for me. I also hate the references to other DC films. It doesn't happen much, but it feels like a way to remind people of what other products DC made, and I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. However, even though this movie has its fair share of nitpicks, I still had a pretty good time watching this from start to finish. The action was pretty decent, with nothing about it particularly being eye-popping, but they were quite fun to watch, with the exoskeleton fights definitely being the highlights, and the other set pieces were very nice too. Even though the visual effects aren't the best, they were mostly pretty cool, with the cinematography also being quite expressive, and perfectly showcases the world in the story. The characters are also really engaging. Jamie and his family were really lovable, who all have a very sweet bond towards each other, especially with Jamie and his dad, who both have a really strong emotional connection, and I got quite sad when the dad died. It was such a perfect dropping point, and the impact of his death was tremendous, with it definitely being my favorite moment in the movie. Victoria was a decent villain, who was a very realistic showcase of the theme of imperialism, and Elmac was also pretty nice, and I love how he's given a lot of depth, even though it's a bit cliche. The scientist helping Jamie was really great characterization, and the cast is all around excellent, especially Xolo Mariduena, who gets quite riveting when the narrative has grown to become more emotional, who also has a lot of hilarious reactions when the Scarab fuses with him. Anyways, that's about it. This film was just very fun and emotional throughout the whole runtime, and even though it was a bit unoriginal for me, it still serves as a great origin story that fits right in the DC film collection, which I would recommend to everyone, since it's very underrated. 8.3 out of 10. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye!